Hi there, my name is Maria from Creative Memories Home Office, and I want to quickly show you a couple tricks for how to achieve this chevron look on the side of your layout. So first, my one tip is that a sketch is just a jump off point. So you do not have to take this sketch and do exactly what is on here. The idea is that the sketch inspires you. So whether it's that you see kind of the basic layout being, you know, a fun, intricate border here, something more simple beside it, with some maybe flags here and a few embellishments, it kind of helps take the guesswork out of where to put your embellishments, how to lay out your photos, and where to put some journaling. But you can always change it. So for example, if you've got vertical photos instead of horizontal photos, you could do one of two things. You could just flip them, or you could also flip the whole layout. So you could have two layouts side by side with your chevron going all the way across the bottom and your photos all being vertical across. You can play with it and make it work for you. That's the idea with a sketch. It's supposed to be a jump off point. Now, if you love these chevrons, which I do, I want to show you a quick and easy way to make them. So let's jump into it. I am using Christmas Spirit today, and I'm going to show you how to make the border, and then I'll come back and show you a picture of the finished layout. So I'm going to make my background paper, something a little bit more simple. Okay. So I'm actually going to use this as my background, and then that way I can cut up a bunch of different of these papers to make the actual chevron look, and it'll stand out a little bit better. So this is going to be my base, and I'm just going to pop that under my trimmer, and then I'm going to choose, I think if we look at this, it's showing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 different shades of gray, which would indicate 4 different patterns. Now, of course, you could change it to 3 or 2 if you want. It'll just change the look of your chevron, but I'm going to follow this and I'm going to go with 4. So I'm going to find 4 patterns I like, which will not be hard. I like them all. So I'm going to choose this pattern. I'm going to stay away from this one only because it's already on an angle. So that one's a no, even though I like it and we'll use it for other things. Definitely going to use the Santa hats. I think I'm going to try and use this. I might, do you know what? Let me just think out loud here. I like this because it's a nice neutral to break it up because it's kind of busy. And I think that I'm going to add a 5th. So see, I'm not even following my own rules. So I'm going to go 5 different designs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them all into a strip. So I'm just going to stack them one on top of another, and our trimmer will cut through all of these layers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make my chevron about 3 inches wide. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut 1.5 inches. And see, that cut through all those papers at once, saving me a little bit of time. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through and I'm going to cut 1/2 inch strips. So again, I'm just going to stack them up just to save a little bit of time. And you're going to do just a whole bunch of them, especially since we have a chevron on both sides. I'm just going to do this whole entire strip. All right, so once you have your whole pile, I'm also going to cut a strip of paper that I'm going to use again for the sketch. I just want a strip here and then something that we can scallop or use an edge on So I think I'm gonna go really neutral for my strip. So I'm just gonna go 1 3/4 inch. And then for my scallop edge, I think I'm gonna do this one because it's nice and neutral. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pop out put in my scallop blade, take out my straight blade. And I'm gonna make this nice and thin. I think I'm gonna go to the 1/2 inch mark. And then I actually want the other way, so I'm gonna just put these scallops at the 1/2 inch mark, slide down, and this is gonna kind of bring my page to life, how I'm setting it up. And for now, we'll put the trimmer away. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna adhere this down. So my wood grain goes right here. Oh, you know what? I like that a lot. But you know what? I like the green too. I'm going to green. I'm committing. I'm staying with it. All right. So I'm just going to have that cover up my seam all the way up. So then on the sketch, we've got this piece and this piece finished. And now I'm just going to be doing my scallop piece. So the trick with the scallop piece is that we're actually going to have a scrap piece of paper. So I'm actually going to grab my piece of paper that comes with the Christmas spirit, and I'm going to cut this up because nobody's going to see it. So I don't want to waste any of my beautiful paper. And I'm just going to cut it to 2 inches. And it'll be fully covered. No one will ever know that I cheated. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pieces, and I'm actually going to adhere them in the corner and then adhere them down to my white piece. So how that looks is just a little bit of adhesive in the corner, and then you'll know that you've got the same angle on all of them if you just make a 90-degree square right there, if your 2 sides are square with each other. And then you'll simply adhere it down. Something just like that. And then we're gonna go all the way down, doing the exact same thing over and over again. So we're just gonna be grabbing 2 of the same design, overlapping them and adding them. Okay, so I'm back, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. So you'll notice that I went all the way over both the top and bottom edge, and we'll end up slicing those off. So I'm gonna pull out my trimmer once again, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So it's easiest if you actually turn your paper over, and you can see where you're gonna be cutting. So I know just using this guide here, if I slice right here, I know I'll be perfectly cutting off all of that excess. And it lines up perfectly with my edge. And since this piece is 12 by 12, I know that it's going to fit perfectly top to bottom, right? So again, I'm just gonna close this. I'm just gonna take my cutting guide and make sure that it's lined up straight, and then I'm just gonna slice again. And it works out perfect every time. So now top to bottom is cut off, and we're gonna go side to side. So the trick is for side to side is you're going to want to take your visual guide and you want to go and cut right here on each one. So you want to end up cutting off all these white triangles. So on mine, I kind of went in a diagonal. So I'm going to end up cutting in a diagonal. So what it's going to end up looking like is I want my cut to go from here all the way to here. So when I put my trimmer down, I'm going to take this guide and I'm going to make sure that as I move it down, I'm getting rid of all those white pieces, which I'm not. So I need to shimmy this over a bit. There we go. Try again. Yes, yes, yes. Looks good. And looks good. So I'm going to go ahead, push down, and slice. And do you see how that cleans up that edge perfectly so that it looks like a chevron edge? And then that's just garbage. And then we're going to turn this over and we're going to do the same thing. Now, this way is a touch easier because you can kind of use these lines to know that you're in a straight line, but you'll still want to use this viewing guide because it'll really help to make sure that you're actually cutting off all those white pieces. Since you've got so much going on, it really is easier if you don't have to go back and do a second swipe. And you want to get as close as possible because you want them to be even. So if you slice one side generously and the other side just to those corners, then your chevron won't be centered. So there we go. And we can take that away. We move our trimmer, we can put this here and you'll see how cute that chevron looks right there, and how we can kind of move on to do the next steps of the layout. So I want to show you one last trick if you wanted to take this up one tiny little smidge more, using kind of the same idea, but let me show you how you can kind of miter all of these edges so that they come to a point rather than having the overlap. So how you're going to do that is, again, I prefer to work on a scrap piece of paper. So I'm just taking that same piece that I grabbed a scrap off of before, and I'm gonna slice another one out. 1 3/4 inches, a good size for me to work on. And then, sorry, I'm gonna keep this. I need more of these papers that we were using. So make a nice pile, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut, and I want them to be 1.5 inches. If you're gonna cut several at a time, the one thing you wanna make sure you do is take your time to make sure they're perfectly stacked. That's going to be a lifesaver. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead now and slice. Perfect. All right, so then the next step is the exact same as what we did before. So we're gonna take our little stack and we're gonna cut it at 1/2 inch. And then what we're gonna do for half of them, so this stack I'm gonna do it, the next stack I won't, is we're gonna put it on the 45-degree mark here, and we're gonna take it so that the corner ends up lined up with our line, our first cutting line, because that's where our blade goes, right? So we wanna be perfectly lined up on that 45. And it's a little tricky because they're small, but our trimmer is so awesome that voila, we have a 45-degree cut now. So then our next cut is just going to be a straight cut. And then I'll show you how you put them together. And you would again do this over and over and over again so that you can get a whole strip, but I'm just trying to quickly show you some tricks. So I'm gonna find my repositionable adhesive, which is my favorite, and you just want adhesive right in the corner, but of course it's repositionable, so if you need to wipe some away, you can. And you'll line up your corner into the corner, and you'll know you're on a 90-degree if your side lines up with the bottom of the other piece. So get your corner into place, line up your side, and then do you see how that's mitered instead of like the overlap that we have here? So it just depends on whether that extra step is worth it for you. But you only have to do it to half of them. So half of them you're gonna cut that 45, and half of them you'll leave as is, and then you'll once again line them up. Now, if you wanted more of a rustic look to your chevron, you could adhere it down without using your white spare piece of paper straight down to here, and you could just have the offcut edges. So that's another option for a look, so that you can have the spaces between. Just see how it's coming together? There we go. And then you would, of course, do that a whole bunch more times until your whole row is complete. So it just completely depends. You can adhere that to a strip of white and have them all butt up against each other. Or you could have white between as well if you wanted to. And then you could cut off your edges. Adhering it to the white really makes cutting off those edges super, super simple to do. Or you can have this more rustic look with your edges not being straight like in the photo. But like I said at the beginning, this is just supposed to inspire you, right? So it's completely up to you. As an alternative, if you're doing Christmas like I am, you could even choose to flip this upside down and have it be a tree. So you could have your chevron not go all the way up, but maybe go up like 3/4 of the way or half the way, maybe a little bit taller than this, and put a little stem and just sort of be inspired by the layout upside down, having a chevron, but turn that chevron into a tree. The world is your oyster. The whole point is that this is your layout and it needs to be your way, the way that you like it, and get as creative as you like with it.